And you know me, I've been going nuts that it's like almost fall.
It's July.
It's almost fall.
It's now August 1st.
It is August 1st. We are a month away from decorations, damn it.
All right, what's going on, everybody? I'm taking over Mary's channel today. We're going to be doing the we're going to be doing something a little bit different today, and we're going to be getting a behind the scenes get to know this lady right here.
What? Excuse your face? What are we doing?
No, this is what we're doing.
What the hell?
So, think of this as like a frequently asked questions kind of video. Something a little behind the scenes, get to know Mary. I'm going to be like kind of doing an interview with her.
Okay.
I'm going to be asking her some questions, and then she's going to be answering them. Okay. Obviously, that's how questions work. Now you know.
A side note, I did not consent to any of this.
I got nothing. Okay.
Yeah, that's what we do.
So, first question, you're a nurse. You've been a nurse for 2 years now.
2 years.
What made you want to become a nurse?
Oh gosh.
Tell them.
Tell the people.
Tell the people.
Okay, my nurses as a kid, it was a very much up and down kind of thing. I never wanted to really have a career. I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. Literally, I wanted to work at a grocery store after
Really?
school. Yeah, I wanted to be a cashier.
I've done that.
Yes, I know.
And it sucks. Yeah, don't do that. So, stick with nursing anyways, continue.
Yes. Yeah, I literally just wanted to like graduate high school, be a cashier until I got married, and then have kids, and like be a stay-at-home homeschool mom.
Okay.
Grew up, figured out I needed to support myself, have insurance, all that kind of thing. That really wasn't a choice. Yeah, and then just going back, thinking about all my nurses as a kid, you know, in and out of hospitals and IV treatments and brain surgeries and whatnot. You know, like a lot of the nurses back in New York would, you know, you'd see them and then go back 4 or 5 years later, and you walk in the door and they go, "Oh my gosh, you're back!" And you're like, "How the hell do you remember me?" You know, you have a million kids who come through here, a million different patients that come through here. And up at Children's, all the different ones, I'd go into the infusion center, and it was just a hallway lined with rooms, and their heads would come popping out the door, and they'd be shouting down the hallway like, "Hey, Mary's back!" I'm like, wait, what the heck? You have a million kids coming through here. And they'd come like sliding in and jump on a stool and be like, "I have like 5 minutes. Tell me about school. Tell me about your friends. Tell me what you're doing." And they were just super sweet. And a lot of the times they wanted to know all that kind of thing. And like just things outside of your physical report that no one else cared about. Like none of my other friends cared about. I didn't really have any friends at the time. Because after surgeries and stuff like that, you know, anytime I came around them, like conversation stopped. They'd lie about where they were going or what they were doing, and so I never really had anybody to spend time with or care about that kind of thing. So the nurses definitely had a huge impact, and I wanted to do that.
Okay, very nice. What accomplishment in your life are you probably most proud of?
Oh gosh. Finishing school.
Okay.
Finishing nursing school. I mean, like I said, I never planned on going to school in the first place. But then once that came about, like even just planning, once I decided that I needed to, and then just trying to figure out how. I mean, I never thought I would do it or thought I could complete it. Because at the time I was in a wheelchair, still in the middle of having a lot of surgeries and stuff. Had like no money. Yeah, I mean, I just didn't think I had the stamina. I've never been a school person. My first class I ever took in college, first or second, I killed myself studying. You know how I study.
Oh, yeah.
Just like hours and hours and hours and over in books and listening to it and looking at YouTube videos and all this stuff. and I still got I think it was a C or a D on my test, and I'd never gotten like below a B ever. And I was like, and I remember in the car, I got picked up, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna have to like settle for that. Like, I'm gonna keep studying my hardest, but that's gonna have to be what I'm gonna be happy with, because my best is only producing that. And the person who was picking me up said, well, that's not good enough.
Well, I was picking you up.
We'll keep that quiet.
Smack the fuck out of them.
Yeah. So, and I had just been sitting, like, I had gotten out of the classroom, and there was this little, so there was the doorway to my classroom, and then another classroom here in like this little nook with a cement block. And I had just been sitting there crying for like 20 minutes, and then got picked up and got told that. So I was like, wow, all right, I guess I'm kind of gotta get myself through this. But yeah, so.
Not to steal your thing, and we're gonna make a whole video about this, but whoever said that can go fuck themselves, and feel free to edit that out, because whatever you fail at, I would say failing is good, you know, because if you're failing something, you're succeeding at trying something new.
Sure.
You're succeeding at doing something that you're not the fucking best at.
Yeah.
So if you fail at something, failing's fucking awesome. You know how many people don't fail? All the fucking lazy motherfuckers who don't do anything. Feel free to edit all of this out. There's a lot of
Hey, this is what do we call this? Being genuine. Living genuine. You know how many people know me and haven't seen me curse? And would probably be like totally shocked to hear the couple times I have on here.
No, but seriously, we're going to do a whole video discussing this. But if you are failing at something, I say that's one of the best things that you can do is like every day go out, find something that you can fail at. Yeah. I mean, don't aim to fail at it. Obviously, aim to succeed.
To succeed.
Edit genuinely.
Well, we talked about this, like, because there's a difference too between failing at something you're just like, I tried, and then something that you fail at that you put all your energy into. If you like put a huge effort into it and you still failed, that's fine. Like, you tried. It's when you give up and you're like, I'm not really gonna try much, and then like you don't even reach for higher.
Yeah, and honestly, if I was in charge of hiring, being that like you are a nurse and I'm going to nursing school, and one of us has really, really good study habits, points at Mary.
You don't need the study habits. You have the knowledge already.
But there's a difference, and there's a huge difference. If I was in charge of hiring, I would rather take the person who studies a
shit
lot.
ton.
Yeah, shit ton.
I'll say it for you.
I would rather hire the person who studies their ass off, studies like 20 hours, you know, for a test. Because so here's the thing. If someone takes a test, if someone studies 20 hours, takes a test, makes it 85, and someone studies 3 hours, takes a test, makes an 85, this person is more genuinely gifted, I would rather hire this person because you know that they're dedicated. It may take them a little bit longer to do it, but that is the employee you want, because that shows that they're dedicated enough to do it and they are willing to put in that much work. Whereas this guy over here who's just gifted, he or she may do the work better, but they don't have to fight for anything. I mean, I'm not saying they don't have to fight for anything. I'm just saying they don't have to fight for that. Going through nursing school and any other college before that, who was your favorite professor?
Well, Dickerson, of course.
Really?
Well, yeah, one of them.
Who did you take for micro?
Those are for good.
Okay, then yeah.
Yeah, him, and actually my psychology teacher.
Really?
She was great.
Let's talk about that a little bit more. Why? Because psychology is generally one of those things that, like, yeah. But so what was it about your psychology professor that you liked, that you learned to respect?
She was just super nice.
Okay.
And like fun and outgoing and bubbly, like not crazy, but and she didn't really take psychology so much like the touchy-feely, head in the clouds kind of realm.
Okay.
She just talked about it very matter of fact of like, this is how emotions work, this is how it connects to here, this is how, you know, like I was thinking about it the other day. What was her name? Amy Kassler. Because I walked into the laundry room, I was doing laundry, and I put an air freshener up there that was the apple cinnamon thing, and you know me, I've been going nuts that it's like almost fall.
It's July.
It's almost fall.
It's now August 1st.
It is August 1st. We are a month away from decorations, damn it. So, and every time I walked in the laundry room, it smelled like fall. And I'm like, I just want to stay in here all day. And it made me so happy. And I remember her talking about that. She was like, she still will smell some sort of cologne or something that will remind her of her boyfriend back in high school.
Yeah.
Because he used to send her letters spritzed with it all the time.
Okay, so you liked her because she was kind. The other two that you listed off were the Leprechaun and Dickerson. So what was it about the Leprechaun that you liked?
He, I think, was just kind of fun.
Yeah.
He made micro interesting, like down to earth.
Yeah.
I went into microbiology thinking it was going to be super complicated and like I was going to fail it, and he made it just very easy to understand.
So this guy, we both took the same guy from micro, different semesters. His name was Rembrandt Haft, up at South Puget Sound Community College, and the dude was awesome. He brought a lot of energy. He made it to where it was very interesting, and he brought a lot of fun to it. You know, you go into micro and you think, oh, it's going to be such a hard course, you know? And I think that whatever course you're taking, if you have the right professor, and Rembrandt Haft at South Puget Sound Community College, if you're living in or around the Olympia area and you need to take that class, 100% take it with him.
And he giggled a lot. Like, he found himself funny, and he tried to crack jokes and like make the whole atmosphere fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But no, he was phenomenal. He was a phenomenal instructor.
Yeah.
As far as Dickerson, what? Oh,
I was gonna say back on Rembrandt, because Rembrandt, I just called him by his first name. That's weird. But yeah, the night he came in with the Christmas lights,
I hated that.
it was the best.
Yep.
I love that because I knew immediately what he was talking about.
I knew what he was going to talk about, and I sat there in my chair, uncomfortable as hell, and I was just like,
This guy came in. He literally had one of those like hooked umbrellas, like little Englishmen carry.
No.
He carried on his arm, didn't he?
He had two umbrellas. And I think you took micro first because it was the hook. Whenever I was taking him, he had, it was like a sword handle. It was like a claymore handle. I'm dead serious. The dude was a nerd.
A serious nerd.
Awesome dude. Nerd.
Yeah.
But no, it was a sword handle. That had like the little cross guard.
Oh my god!
And he would sit there. I'm holding my hands like this because he would literally sit there.
And put his hands up.
Yes, he would put it like face down, like he's King Arthur going to pull the sword from the stone, and he would just kind of like rest on it with the little hand guards on, and he just kind of like sit there and he'd chat with you. And I was just like.
And you guys know how big these like the oversized umbrellas are, like the long, like the curved ones with the curved handles. They're pretty tall. They literally came up to here on him. He was so short.
That's why. So he had like bright red hair. Did you ever see his
ponytail?
Yes.
No, it went like down to his butt. He showed us a picture one time.
Yeah. So, but he looked like a leprechaun for all intents and purposes. I just wanted to put like a little hat on him.
Yeah. But no, I love that night because I mean that's the kind of crazy thing he'd do. He was trying to teach us about the cells and like the mitochondria and stuff like that, and basically, and that's honestly one of my issues. Is what is it? You make
23 ATP.
Is it 23? I thought it was 34. Something. You make multiple ATP cells, which are energy cells. And
it's right here, by the way. This is how many ATP you make.
Okay. And it's a 4-step cycle, the process of making those. And a lot of them you make towards the end. I think at the beginning you only make like 2 here, 3 there. It's very sparse at the beginning. So in mitochondrial disease, which I have, the chain stops at like the first or second step. So you make like a fraction of the energy. But anyway, so because I had that, like I always heard about mitochondria and and all of that thing, and I knew how it worked. And he had said something the prior week, like, oh, we're gonna be talking about the cell cycle or the energy cycle, something. Okay, see you next week. And then he walks in, the guy's literally wrapped head to toe in Christmas lights. And he had to like untangle himself.
And he
but
looks
I knew
like a nerd.
He did, but that's what was fun is like he walked in and I'm like, oh, you're going to talk about how if you unplug one Christmas light or if you lose one step of the mitochondrial process, everything else shuts down. It was so easy to understand because everybody's had the strand of Christmas lights that loses one bulb and the whole thing goes out and you have to go buy a new one.
Yeah.
So it made it so relatable.
And then the last instructor professor that you referenced was Dickerson. What did you like about Dickerson?
He was funny.
Yeah?
He was funny. He was one of us. Like, he was basically a student.
He was the professor.
He was our age. Not to say that everybody else
More
was
or less.
ancient,
I mean, he was 30.
Yeah, like 30, 35. But a lot of the other teachers we had were probably like 50s, 60s.
Okay.
They were parents, grandparents, that kind of thing.
He had twins.
He did. But yeah, and honestly, terrible teacher as far as technicalities are concerned. With like,
What?
you agree, as far as like PowerPoints and homework and like those kind of technicalities of a teacher, he was horrible. But he was there because he was so passionate about what he loved, and he just wanted to share it. So
Yeah.
he made it fun and exciting, and it was like really easy to learn then.
Yeah. He did a phenomenal job. Again, if you're in the Olympia area, if you're going into like nursing or whatever, and you need to take anatomy and physiology, there's going to be 2 professors at SPS that you can do. There's Dickerson, and then there's actually I don't even know if Dickerson's still there. There's
He might
yeah.
not be, yeah.
Actually, no, there's 3 now too. There was a female who I was named a tutor for,
Well, Anne Haft said he was going to do AP, remember?
and I think Gal was as well.
Oh, that's right. She may have gotten busy though now that she was going through nursing school.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
dude, she's awesome.
So that may have been a lot on her plate.
So I guess quick questions here. Do you play any instruments? Any musical instruments?
Piano.
Piano?
Trying to learn guitar.
Trying to learn guitar. Okay. How long have you been playing piano for?
22 years.
Okay. And your channel has some vocal covers on it. Can we expect to see some piano playing on your channel in the future?
Yes. Actually,
Really?
that was, I just deleted a couple videos. But yeah, I had actually thought about uploading one, because I picked up a piece of music that I hadn't played for about 11 years.
Was it The Sound of Music?
No.
Oh, because you played that, what, yesterday?
No, I did not. But yes, I picked that up, and like, I won't post something unless it's perfect.
Okay.
And you had just mentioned to me the other day how on my last video there was parts of it that I totally forgot to crop out.
I loved it.
I hated it because I will completely lose my train of thought and just be staring off into nowhere. And you know, you lose your train of thought and you backtrack the conversation and you go, oh, that's what I was thinking of. I can't backtrack the conversation in my head, and so I just sit there like waiting for the switch to turn back on. And I don't know how I missed cutting that out, but it was so embarrassing. And you said it actually was nice to not see something perfect.
Yeah, so with these videos, and especially if you look at the rest of your videos, everything looks like very well done. And you can realistically, if you look at the rest of your videos in your playlist, you can't tell that there was a cut in them, like hardly at all. I mean, you can see like very minor like changes in positions, and it's something you really have to be looking for. But it looks like something that you can just knock out no problem. Whenever like these videos, they actually take like, you spend hours doing this. I know you've spent like 12 hours doing one video before.
Yeah.
Because like you'll edit out like down to like the nanosecond. Maybe that, okay, a nanosecond's a reach, but down to the millisecond I don't think is a reach at all. Like you will go, because you used to edit videos on my channel. The first several episodes of that, you actually edited it.
Yeah.
And it was the amount of detail that you put into that, like editing out every single like that.
That one.
No, but like you edited very, very specifically what you needed. The music that you put in, because you have a history or a background in music, you were able to put that in and like really fit the mood. I mean, and you saw it the one time. I forgot what episode it was, and it was like episode 2.
Yeah.
That with and you were editing it and you're like, oh babe, come over here and look at this, and you play it and the music changes like just so well.
Yeah,
It
fight
fits the
scene.
atmosphere so effing well. So yeah, I was very surprised. I say all that to say you spend a lot of time, and you have spent upwards of 12 hours editing a video before. So to be able to see that in one of your videos and see like just see you lose your train of thought, like I think was a nice little kind of peek behind the scenes, and being like, if you haven't seen it yet, go back to the last episode.
Don't encourage this.
And you can edit it out if you want to.
Oh.
But going to the last episode, it's a really good episode. It's hair and tutorials about being yourself, kind of like why being perfect on the outside isn't really. I mean, you can look at Marion; she's perfect on the outside, so maybe she's not the person to tell you about it. But it does go about like your natural beauty, and try not to cover that up with makeup, because there is too much makeup. But
Then
go
you
back
always
and
gotta take your advice. Your first date advice.
go to the swimming pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they make
Wash off all that makeup.
They make waterproof makeup now. So it's getting hard. It's not foolproof. It's getting harder to do though. Anyways, we do all that. I say all that to say, like, it is nice to see a little peek behind the curtain and see, like, whenever you mess up, what that looks like, and the fact that it's not always 100%.
Yeah.
So.
Or that one video, will take like 4, 5, 8 takes. Especially if it's something like music. And that's why I was going to post that other one of, like, I just played it through. I stalled. I hit the wrong keys. I had to go back, like, a bar and replay it over again. I mean, because like I said, I hadn't played it in 11 years. And I'm like, I'm going to post this raw. Because we had just had that conversation. I'm like, and I never would post something like that. Especially, like piano, singing. If there's one note that's slightly flat or slightly off, I'll redo the whole thing until it sounds perfect.
Okay.
And as a kid, even Mom will remember this, when I was like 5 or 6, my godfather came over and I was like showing him how to play something on the piano. Or me and Sam would play duets all the time. And if I hit one wrong note, especially if I hit multiple of them and like couldn't get my fingers back on track, I'd cry and I'd slam the keys and walk away. And everybody knew. Like, our piano was always in the back. Everyone knew when I messed up because they'd just hear this banging of the keys and then the music would stop.
Bonk.
And it was a full, like, arms and hands on the keys, just slam the whole thing.
How old were you?
6.
So it's like 5 notes.
Yeah. No. It was bad, yeah. So definitely it's out of my comfort zone to post something not performed, like, to the T.
That's still really impressive, though. Like, we grazed past it, but you were 6 years old playing piano.
Mm-hmm.
I'm over 26 years old, and I don't know how to play piano, so and I'm not going to. So you told us what instruments you play.
Mm-hmm.
What got you into music?
You
said you started at 5 or 6. Was it like?
Yeah. I don't know, honestly. Sam played, and she'd been playing since we were back in California, so little. I don't know if I saw her doing it, and I just wanted to do it too.
Okay.
But then I hated lessons, so I only took lessons from the time I was 6 to 10. Is when I took lessons, and then I quit and I just did the rest myself, and because I would do a lot more and I'd play a lot more variety when I could just play it on my own.
Okay.
So then I got into like the type of music that I liked, and I was always singing as a kid, singing in the car and stuff, and then and then I just always liked performing. I would rope the boys into doing plays and things like that at home.
And they would do the plays, and you would just do music while they did the play?
No. One time we did a musical. That's the thing. Like, the rest of it wasn't actually music. It was just, we would do Peter Pan all the time.
Okay. There's music in Peter Pan, isn't there?
Yeah, but the one time we decided to do the music, Mom went into labor halfway through the first song, or her water broke with the twins, and she's like, "Guys, I have to go."
Way to ruin it, Mom.
I know. So she left, had the twins, so then we never
trying
finished
to do a
the
play,
musical.
and you're just trying to give me baby brothers.
I know. That was terrible.
What is your biggest pet peeve?
Being interrupted.
Okay.
Huge pet peeve. Oh my gosh. Yours too, actually.
No,
That's both
that
of
is
ours.
my biggest one.
Yeah. And granted, not like the in a conversation, banter back and forth kind of thing.
Yeah, like this, I'm sure we've stepped over each other several times in this video.
Yeah.
But it's like if I'm talking with you, and we know each other quite well, you know?
Right. You can do that though, even with a stranger. Or if you do interrupt someone and you're like, "Oh, hey, I gotta go off on this, but we'll come back to yours, like, before I forget, blah, blah, blah." Like, there's ways you can interrupt people and have it be perfectly fine.
I have had to walk away from it. I'm not gonna make this video about me. This video is supposed to be.
No, but this is a thing. Yeah, and I have almost walked away.
Oh, I have 100%. I've honestly just, and it's after. It's not my go-to. If you know me, I'm generally a pretty genuinely nice guy, right? And I'll sit there and I'll talk with you about whatever. But it reminds me of this guy when I wrote in. So I'm in summer classes right now. The last class that I took, me and this guy were having this conversation. Or this guy was having a conversation, and I was also present. That's how
Sorry,
it was.
that took me a minute. I'm like,
That's how
okay.
it was. So like we're walking, right? We're walking and I'm heading back to my apartment. He kind of lives off in the same direction somewhere. So he's like pushing his bike alongside and he's talking. And then he's talking. And I'm a guy who talks so much. I mean, if I've worked with you, you know that. Like I'm constantly talking.
Mm-hmm.
But
Was it? Hold on. See, like here, interrupting you. Who was it? Was it Mary Lou or Joanna? Someone was like, "Oh, you're not talking today. Like, what's wrong with you?" Or something like that. Remember?
I don't know. I do remember Mary Lou didn't like it so much when I did start talking.
When you did start talking?
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
no.
Because remember I originally showed up. This was at Reynolds Army Community Hospital back in Oklahoma. And whenever I showed up, I was like 18 years old, right?
Yeah.
And I was just very quiet whenever I showed up. Hard to
That's
believe.
weird. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so weird.
I was also clean shaven.
You
sure
have
she'll
a
pop
baby
a
face.
picture.
You have a baby face. I will.
But yeah, so I was clean shaven. I had hair.
No, you didn't. You had it all cut off for the army.
Well, I've had it cut off my entire adult life, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was very not outgoing. I was very. What's the word I'm looking for? Introvert.
Reserved.
Yeah. Ooh, that's another thing we need to talk about. There's a difference between introverts, extroverts, and narcissists.
Oh yes. Ha.
But yeah, so like whenever I showed up, I didn't talk all that much, and it was probably maybe a year in or something like that.
Wow, that long?
Well, I mean, it was a progressive thing. It wasn't that long. I mean, it was at that point I was like very talkative.
Yeah.
But I remember, one night I was working and Mary Lou was like, "You guys remember when McCroskey didn't talk that much?" I was like,
No. Calling you out, Mary Lou.
"No, I don't think she's watching this.
Hey, maybe.
Maybe
Oh, hi.
expect something in the mail." What?
Oh, yeah. What? I didn't say a word. No.
But no, that was funny.
That's funny.
But no, this guy, like, we're walking back to the apartment. He's talking. I'm present. And then like we stop and he's chatting and he was saying something that I agreed with. And I was trying to get in how I agreed with and give him an example of what he was talking about. And I would start trying to talk. I would get like one or two words and then he'd just start talking again. I'm like,
Cool.
so the first time I'm like, you know what? Okay, maybe I wasn't asserting myself. Maybe I'm not loud enough. Whatever, which is weird. And then like I start talking the second time, and he just like I get two words out. He starts interrupting me. I was like,
Yeah.
all right. The third time he did it, he's just like something, or I get it again. Two words out. He starts saying something. I'm like, fuck, and I turn around and walk off.
Oh.
I just walk off. I was like, you know what?
Not
If the
doing this.
middle of my sentence interrupts the beginning of your sentence, then I'm just gonna leave because I don't want to have to interrupt you at the middle of my sentence.
Multiple times.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
No, it's the worst.
I just
The
left.
worst.
I was like, dude, I can't.
Yeah.
Right now, I think positively of you, and if I stay here, I'm gonna keep thinking a little bit less.
Well, because what it says is they don't. First of all, they're not hearing what you have to say, and that they don't really care what you have to say. Because there's so many times in a conversation where someone will, where you're at, they interrupt you and bing off onto something else, and you're
Yes.
like, well, that's what I was getting to. Or actually, no, what I was going to say was, like, right when you cut me off, I was going to say this, and it would have taken it that direction. So,
Yeah.
it's so infuriating. I remember the first time I actually called somebody out. Like, I was 17, 18. I worked at Verizon. Worst job in the world. Oh my gosh. Literally, there was like a platform in the middle of the room where all the supervisors stood and just stared at you and yelled at you to get on the phone faster. It was horrible.
That sounds awful.
It was horrible.
That was the supervisor's job?
Yeah.
So they didn't have to do anything. They just had to tell you how you were doing it wrong.
Basically. And you would raise your hand to like have them come and help you. Sometimes you had your hand raised for like 30 minutes. But they would only let you keep the customer on hold for like a minute and a half. And then they start yelling at you. So you had to check in with them. Are you still there? I'm still working on this. Are you still there? Are you still there? And eventually the customer's like, stop talking and figure out what I'm asking you. You know?
Those are recorded phone calls, aren't they?
Yeah.
Now that I know, because anytime I've talked to those people, now that I know that's why they're checking in, from now on, I'll just tell them, like, look, I know what you're doing. Tell your boss to go shove it.
Well, and that's relieving for the person too. Yeah, there was a couple people who were like, you know what, you're good. Like, I'm busy, or I know you're not hanging up on me. Just put me on hold and come back whenever. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love you. Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, one gal, she calls in, and I had never talked back to an adult before. Like, and we were talking about this the other night, where it's like, you know, depending on where you go or what you do, like, you start being more comfortable with that authoritative role. Whereas, like, you know, like working in the hospital, being a nurse, you know, you could have somebody who's 80, and you can be like, all right, look, this is what we're gonna do. This is what I have to tell you, you know, and you don't mind talking to them bluntly. Never in my life had I done that before. And so this gal calls in, and every time I tried to answer her question, she'd interrupt me and ask something else or rant about something else. And she'd talk like a mile a minute because she was freaking out and she was mad and and I'm like, okay. But so I finally get her to stop, kind of, and was like, let me get my supervisor and ask him. Put her on hold, went and talked to the guy who had like kind of been my buddy through the whole thing, and I was crying already. And I was like, I don't know what to do, and she won't stop talking, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, talk back. And I looked at him and I'm like, I can't, that's rude, that's disrespectful, I can't do that to an adult. And I mean, I was an adult too, but I was a baby adult.
That was my next question.
Yeah. I mean, I still feel like a kid sometimes. So I get back on the phone with her and she starts doing it again. And then I barked at her and I was like, I'm trying to answer your question, but you won't shut up long enough for me to give you the answer.
And you said it just like that?
I did.
That's awesome.
And she goes, oh, okay. And then she stopped.
Wow.
I was like, and sometimes people are like that too. Like, they just need a bulldog person back, because if they sense that you're a mouse, they'll just keep, you know, pounding you into the corner.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
then-
that's a real thing.
It is.
Especially in the hospital.
Yes. Yeah, and so by the time I got off the call, she goes, can I talk to your supervisor? I just want to tell them how amazing you were. And I'm like, I just ripped your head off. Why do you think I'm great?
Now, did they actually tell your supervisor how amazing you were?
Yeah, I called him over and I put him on the phone. I gave him my headset and I talked to him.
Right.
But no, yeah, bouncing onto that, you're completely right. Like, that's how I got along with most of my patients, and I think you probably too, is I'd get report that, oh, you know, they're behaving like this, or they do this or that, or they're so mean and grumpy. I'd walk in, I'm like, hey, what's up? How you doing? And I would crack jokes, and depending on who it was, I might throw out a little curse word now and then, like if it was an old army guy or something like that who did it to me first. I'm like, all right, this is going to be our bonding moment. But yeah, or one gal, she would scream all the time. Anytime you tried to move her, she'd scream. And just kind of be pretty derogatory. And there was multiple times where I'd like try to move her arm and be super gentle, and she's like, well, that's hurting me, or you're not doing it the right way. And I'd look at her and I go, well, because you're not helping me by telling me what to do. And then she'd start laughing. And I'm like, so you gotta have that sometimes and have that banter, because if that's their personality, that's what's gonna open them up.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question I want to ask, have you ever done any sports?
No, not technically. Only dancing. Which is not considered a sport.
Well, some people will try to stab you if you disagree with them.
Yes.
Little psychopaths.
Yeah.
That's another story. We're not going into that. Just fucking creepy.
I know. So no, not officially. I'd play stuff in the backyard. You know, Dad and the boys and me would play football on Sundays, and like that'd be tackled to the ground. But you know, nothing like no teams or anything.
But your family is really big into baseball. Is like, for me, whenever from the outside looking in, I look at the Curl family, and whenever I think of sports in the Curl family, I think baseball.
Baseball.
Is that a pretty accurate kind of thing?
Oh yeah, because Dad played it, Eddie played it, Bob, Steve.
Doesn't your dad have like a 49ers hat or something?
He used to be a huge 49ers fan. Not anymore. He can't stand them.
Okay, good.
Yeah, he was 49ers, Green Bay Packers. I don't think he's fans of them either, no. Seahawks-ish, kind of, sometimes. But
I like
no, Seahawks is football. See, that shows how much I know.
So is the 49ers and the Packers.
Wait, what?
We're talking about football right now.
Oh, damn it. Yeah, all right.
So, has Mary played sports? No. Does
Clearly
Mary know
not.
sports? Also, no.
I know team names.
There's the New Orleans
Chica
Beagles.
Bills.
Chicago Bills. The Chicago Bills.
I can't believe I just picked up on that after watching that show for like 6 years.
Okay. Couple quick binary questions. Pepsi or Coke?
Oh gosh, either one. Pepsi though reminds me of dinner nights at Costco and shopping, so it's a little sentimental.
Okay. As far as like treats go, sweet or savory?
Sweet. 100%.
American-made vehicles or foreign-made vehicles?
American made because it's easier to find the parts.
Okay. Right. So you just expect them to break?
No.
Okay. With your meal in the morning, coffee or juice?
Juice.
Okay. Do you prefer Hispanic food or Asian food?
Hispanic. I think. Really, both. They're both the same.
Okay. What's a better date, walk in the park or movies?
Walk in the park.
Okay.
Always.
Always.
So you're doing good.
Rather be too hot or too cold?
Oh, too cold.
Okay. Especially in August.
Yes. Ugh.
July.
It's almost fall.
And that's where we're going to end it.